Hi, this is Jeannie from Metal Dollhouse Rescue. I'm back with part 2 of showing you how I take pictures and then manipulate them and get them to my laptop and get them ready so that they can be printed and used for reproductions or to replace missing parts or to cover rusty parts. This isn't rocket science. There's a kind of a multi-step process, but you can do it too. Now, I'm happy to do it, but my concern is that people have to wait for me to do it. Because guess what? I got other things going on in life. I love working with my dollhouse stuff, but I've got, I work part-time. I've got a house to keep and a husband and grandchildren. So if you guys know how to do it and are adventurous, you can do this yourself. All right. So last time we talked about taking pictures, and I'm going to confess to you. I'm going to show you the pictures that we end up with. Okay, hold on just 1 second. All right, these are the pictures I ended up with, and here's my confession. After I ended that video, I went ahead and retook these pictures. My concern is I didn't have this bottom quite straight across here, and this is much better on this version. So I took one more picture this way, and I took another picture of the inside to get that just a little straighter, because there's two things you need to try to get. I always talk about having it straight on. Well, there's two ways to get it straight on. First of all, you need it straight on as direct in front of the object as you can get it. So nice and flat this way. But then you also want it you don't want your camera tilted this way or this way or this way or this way. So let me demonstrate with my phone. Pretend this is got on the camera mode. You don't want it tilted that way. 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 And you can see when it's tilted that way how the line on the bottom is not straight. Well, that's what I had done. I had the camera apparently tilted a little bit this way. So the way you can kind of eyeball that when you're taking the picture is to line that up. Actually, I use the bottom of the frame here, and I try to make it like parallel. But then you also have to be thinking about your reflection. You have to be thinking about, are you cutting off the top? There's a lot to think about. And when I was filming, I was having trouble thinking of all that stuff. And I ended up retaking that, making that a straighter picture. So this is what we ended up with. I've got some really nice straight pictures. That one, that one. This is the one I smushed up on camera the other day. I'm going to use that as an example. And then the measurements. When I had that little drawing of measurements of how each of those angles, how long each one was. So I've got that little picture there. So now I need to get these over to my laptop. And there are two ways to do this. And I'm going to show you the easiest, fastest way. And I'm going to talk briefly about the other way, but I'm not going to show it to you. So here's the other way. The other way is I have a software on my phone called Dropbox. And I had to download that app. And then when I go to Dropbox, it'll say what pictures do you want to move, and it'll go to my gallery and I'll highlight them, and it puts them in Dropbox. And then I bring that application up on my laptop, and they're in that Dropbox on my laptop. And so then I can take them from there and put them wherever I want them into my computer. But that's a little more complicated. So this way is much easier, and you can do this today if you have Facebook Messenger. So this is how I do it. I go to Facebook Messenger and I find me. Now, if I've already done this earlier today, so I was right at the top, but if not, you could put your name up there in the search and find yourself. And now I'm going to send myself a message. And you can see I did this recently with other pictures. I sent other pictures to myself. So now you just go to your gallery and you attach those pictures. And I'm going to attach all 4 of those pictures that we have talked about. The 2 that were good shots, the one that was smushed, and the one that has the little diagram of the measurements. And I'm just going to send them to myself on Messenger. See, there they are. And now I'm going to go to my laptop and we're going to find those. Here I am with my laptop open. And I have put a folder on here on my desktop called, this is called Pictures for Video. But what I'm going to do is open up Facebook and find Messenger. Now, you guys might have a better way to do this than me. It wouldn't surprise me. But this has worked for me. It's pretty easy, and it can work for you. So if you do something better, that's fine. If you want to share it with us, that's fine. Okay, I don't have internet connection, so let me get that. Okay, I've got internet connection, so I've logged on to Facebook. Opened it up. And right here is my Messenger over here, this little squiggly line. It will not show a message because when it comes from you, it doesn't show there's a message. But when I click on that and open it, you'll see that message is there. There it is, from Jeannie Gilbertson Luster. Wonder what she's got to say. And there's those pictures. I bet you'd like me to zoom in that just a little bit on that. So there's those 4 pictures that I attached to the message. So we're going to just open up one at a time and then save them back to my desktop. And I put a folder there on my desktop. Now I do this by, you guys might have another way, but I right click my mouse and I use this mouse built in down here. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to save image as, come back to the screen, save image as, and then I'm going to come over here to my desktop, over here to desktop, and I've got a folder it's called A Picture for Video. So I'm going to click on that and say open and save. And that has put that picture there. So now I'm going to click over to the next picture. I can arrow over. There's the next one. I'm going to right click using my mouse. And I'm going to say save image as. I'm going to come over here. It's got my same folder open because there's my other picture, and I'm going to say save. That one's done also. Go to picture number 3. Now I deleted all those other pictures that were not what I liked. They weren't as good. Right click. Well, sometimes when you right click you get what you want. Sometimes you get something else. Save image as. We're there in the folder already. You can see my other pictures. I'm going to say save. Picture number 3 is there, and I need one more picture. And it's the one that's got the measurements on it. Right click. That didn't want to go, so I'm going to do it, repeat it, right click. Save image as. You ever have to do things 2 or 3 times? Well, you know, same with me. Save. Now we're going to close out Facebook and we're going to take a look. Just make sure all 4 of those pictures are in there. I'm going to go out to my desktop and see if all those pictures are there, and I got a folder just for those 4 pictures, and there they are, all 4 of those pictures. This is the one that I smushed. This is the one that's got the little diagram. This is my good picture of the outside and my good picture of the inside. Now I'm going to open up a blank Word document. I've opened up a blank Word document, and I have actually called it like end wall for the tin soldier. Inside and outside, because that's ultimately what this is going to be. It's the tin soldier house, and it's the end wall for that. So now I'm going to insert those pictures. So you come up here to insert. Now I want to tell you, you guys maybe can do this better or faster or smarter in Photoshop, but I don't have Photoshop, and so I use Word for that reason. So I'm going to come up here to insert, and then I'm going to go to my folder. I'm going to insert picture, and it's going to be pictures from this device, and then I'm going to go to that folder where those 4 pictures are. So it's on my desktop. It's called A Picture for Video, and I just want these 3. I don't need the measurements because I've got the measurements here on paper. A lot of times I use them from the photograph, but since I'm sitting right here at my work table, I still have that paper that those are written on. But you will want those handy, so either add them to your document or have those handy. So let's insert those 3. And there they are. You can see they popped in there. Now, here's the smushed one. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I ended up getting nice pictures. But here's the smushed one. Here's the nice picture that's better proportioned. But if this is all I had, this is easy enough to fix in Word. You're just going to highlight it, and then these dots, there's a dot right up here. There's some in the corner too, but you want the dot on the top or the dot on the bottom, and you're just going to click on that and hold it and drag, and look, you can reshape that and make it back longer again. Now there's still some distortion because this original picture was already, I did a bad picture on purpose. And here you can see this is, well, you maybe can't see. And honestly, if this is all you had to go with, it wouldn't be that bad. There's my smushed that's been elongated, and then here's my original that's really good. So you can see it's really not all that bad. Now on this one I have cut the top off, so we're not really going to use this, but I wanted to show you how you can manipulate those pictures and use sometimes even a bad picture. Now if it was too wide, you could just take it here on the side, click on that dot, and drag it in. So you probably can't tell, but this is just a little bit crooked compared to the good original. The good original is nice and straight. This one's a little crooked because I manipulated it. Now, if this is all you had, you could go back and re-manipulate it, or you could even go with this. Another thing you can do with this is you can kind of tilt it a little bit. So where that's off a little bit, if you tilt it a little bit, that doesn't look so bad. See, that's kind of straighten it out. And if you don't like the sides being bad, sometimes you can piece in a little bit down here on the side. So that's how you can manipulate this in Word. Now this one we're not going to use it because we have a good clean copy. Just showing you that is an option that you could do if you had to. So here's my better clean copy, nice and straight. So one thing I might do early on is I might crop this picture to get rid of some of the white around the edge, especially here on the bottom. See, there's a lot there we don't need. And so if you don't know how to do that, you right click and then crop. It's up here at the top. And then you see those heavy black marks, you grab those and you drag that up, and that will cut that bottom part off. Now if you ever wanted that back, you actually can uncrop it and get that back if you wanted to. You can also crop here on the side a little bit. I'm not usually real concerned about stuff that's there that I don't need. How's the top look? It could crop down a little bit, so I'm going to right click, crop. There you go. And remember I said if you wanted to uncrop it, I could drag that line back down and uncrop it. So then just enter, and in that case it went away, so I'm going to undo. There it is. Undo is always your friend. If you kind of make a mistake and you're like, oops, come up here to undo, and it'll undo the last thing that you did. Now if you don't have Word, you're not going to be able to use this way. Now I can tell you that this has got to be quite a bit bigger because, in fact, you can see back here in real life, I'll lift this up, you can see that the original is still sitting back there. You see how big it is in real life. And we're going to need it to print eventually that big. Now, Mary doesn't need this because this isn't the right color. And Linda has been good enough to provide a picture of one that is the right color for her. So this is just for, if anybody else would need it down the road, just for historical purposes, and I'll show you what we'll do. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to say right click, copy, and right click, paste. And again, I'm just using my mouse button. If you use a regular mouse, fine. Now I've got 2 copies of that. And the reason I've done this is I'm going to enlarge this big enough that it will not fit on the page anymore because the original is much bigger than this. So we're going to enlarge it, and so we're going to do that by dragging. I'll highlight it. I just clicked on it. When I say highlight it, I click on it, and it makes these white dots up here in the corner, and then I can drag that down. I have to hold my control button to do that. Drag that down, and you can make that picture quite a bit bigger. Something I also do often in Word is I'll make those margins small. So let's go to Layout, Margins. Make sure you're on camera here. And then I'll make narrow margins. So I've got more room for my graphics and not so much eaten up with the margins. All right. So you do not want to drag here at the side. If you do, you'll distort it. It'll no longer be in proportion, and I'm not going to do that. But you always want to drag from the corner, which will proportionately make it, the same size. It'll make it larger both ways. So go from the corner, and we're going to like make it as large as we can to get on that piece of paper for now. So now you can see that if I were to print this, that the bottom actually falls off the piece of the paper. See, that's what I said, one piece of paper is not going to be big enough to print that whole side. We're going to have to print it on 2 pieces of paper. Now I have found that if you change the size over here in the bottom right hand corner, change this to 110%. Right now it's set on 70, 79. Make that 110%. This is real life size now. And you can kind of picture that because behind it is the real item. So you can see that that is very close or exactly the same size as the real item. And that's going to be useful because remember I talked about trying to measure these. I measured this exact line, and I've got my tape measure here so I can see if in fact I am in the ballpark of the right line for that. Let me get my measurements out here. Remember I told you I had them handy. Well, there they are. So this measurement is this one right here. Make sure I've got the right one. Okay, it's this one right here. And that measurement is 4 5/8 inch. And I've got my tape measure here so I can measure that. Now this gets a little dicey because when I get my hands up there, sometimes I touch the screen and then that makes something else pop up, or it makes the picture move around. But you can see that is right on for the right size. And if you thought it needed to be just a little bigger, you could click on it and drag this right corner just a little bit. Any of the corners, drag it just a little bit to make it just a little bit bigger. Four 5/8, and I feel like it could be just a teeny bit bigger. So I'm going to click up here on this corner, this white dot on the corner. Turn this, make sure you can see that. And I've got a touch screen, so I can do it with my finger and make it a little bigger. If you don't have a touch screen, you might have to use your mouse to do that. So 4 5/8 would be a teeny bit bigger than 4 1/2. So we're going to go a teeny bit bigger yet. That's really, really close. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so you can see where that's spaced on that piece of paper. We're coming right up here to the right hand edge of the paper. So it'd be nice if we could scooch out a little to the left. We're going to use our arrow keys and see if it'll go. And it won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it a little bit there on that right hand side. So I'm going to right click, crop, up here on the top. Make sure you can see that. And crop it. Okay, I'm going to stop this video now. I can see my battery's getting low on my backup phone. But we will continue to size that until we get that just exactly the right size. And then I will check back with you another night to give you an update. Thanks so much for hanging in there.